Have you ever sat there and wondered, man, this artist makes some really good art. They have such talent. Their skills are beyond my own. How did they get to that point, though? How did their journey as an artist begin? Before they started posting on the internet? Man, I would sure like to know how they started and how they got to where they are today. Isn't that something we all wonder when we look up to a creator or an artist? You see them make these amazing and beautiful pieces of art, which took them hours to make, and you wonder, what were they like before they got to this point? What were they into before? How was their startup as an artist? Well, those questions swirl in some people's minds every once in a while. I'm sure they do. Heck, I may be a small artist on the internet, but I'm sure there are some people who see my art and think, how did I begin? What's my story? Isn't that a way to start the intro? Oh, hello, hi! Fancy seeing you here. Today I will be opening up a old, dusty book that hasn't been touched or seen the light of day for centuries. So sit down in a circle on the carpet as I tell you all an old story of how I became an artist, from which sides of the art community did little Estalia come from, and how I got to where I am today. This video, however, will be quite personal to me, not in the angsty or sad way you may think. More like this video is me going down memory lane, looking back at where I started, looking back at old communities, the people I met, the things I have experienced that I really wish I never had to experience as a kid, starting out online as a digital artist, and how those experiences led me to meet my current artist friends and how I got to where I am now. The speed paint you see happening in the background is the thumbnail for this video. It took me a while to figure out what drawing I should make for this kind of video, so I made this after a long while of thinking. It's my child self and my present self on the path of old sketches and drawings. Look close enough and you'll see the drawings go from old to new as a way to show my art progression. It was a fun idea and a neat way to showcase your improvement, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Also, it took me more than a few hours to finish this, since I wanted to get this video out on Sunday, which is today, so I had to work around my school schedule with the few hours I had after I got home. Never had to spend that much time on a drawing, but I'm glad I did, because I wanted to make it special and fix anything I didn't like. Also, I know how boring it may be to sit and watch this lengthy video, especially with how short attention spans are these days, so use it as your background noise while you clean, draw, or do chores, or whatever you're currently doing. Okay, this intro is already long enough. I have to stop rambling on or else this video will be way too long for my liking, and it would take a lot longer to edit. Which I really don't want to miss the deadline. Before little Estalia got her hands on her very first iPad back in 2018, I did what every kid did when they just discovered that they are quote-unquote good at making art, is just draw more. There is my old TikTok account from way before I became a digital artist. I could be wrong, but I think they were made around 2017 or 2016, where I was already posting art on there. I drew on paper, but I didn't post on TikTok often back then, sort of just never really had an interest in it after it was changed from Musical.ly to TikTok. I was already creating OCs from media that I really enjoyed. Undertale, Five Nights at Freddy's, Creepypasta, and Bendy and Ink Machine. Oh, and Baldi's Basics, I think. I don't remember when that came out. God, I remember the hype for those games back then. And the types of media surrounding those games I would consume and suck into my kid brain. I think that's why I am the way I am today. It explains a lot. Anyway, I never really posted much of my OCs I created. I don't know why. Maybe because I just like to keep it to myself, or maybe I just forgot. I don't know. I never played Undertale, but I watched Glitch Tale by Fuck You, X-Tail by Fuck You as well, and Chocotail by Huang Ponymator, which is how I learned about and fell in love with Undertale. Five Nights at Freddy's, I did play when the second game released, but only when the demo version was out. Because my parents knew what those games were and the price of the full versions, they were very skeptical on buying anything over the internet back then, since they have never done it before. And even little me couldn't escape the shipping wars that happened between the animatronic characters who were possessed by kids. And yeah, I remember seeing this purple fuck back in 2016 on my phone, because I did have a phone way longer before an iPad. Bendy and the Ink Machine, I never played either, but I did see some gameplay footage and I liked how the game looked and the story behind the character you're playing as and the location. And it got me into the fandom by stumbling across this comic. The creepypasta fandom, I was already into it when I was like 10. I played Jeff the Killer on the Little Big Planet 2 when I was 6. I knew what Slenderman was when I was 8. And I fully got into the fandom when I was 10 to 11 through the creepypasta cosplay musically videos I would see on YouTube, the compilations. And that's where I began to follow a lot of creepypasta creators. However, a lot of those drawings I made were on paper, and me as a child, I did this stupid thing and threw them away instead of keeping them so I could look back at them in the future. I remember I had the mindset where I throw away the drawings I didn't like, so I kept the ones I thought I did fantastic on. And fantastic is in the biggest quotations. So the drawings you find on my old TikTok accounts are just a fraction of the drawings I actually made. I did draw a lot before turning digital, trust me. I did everything I could to salvage some of those drawings I made during that time that were hidden in a pile I thought I had thrown away, which meant I had to do some digging in folders I probably forgot I still had. I'm not showing any of these because they will be used in another video where I roast a small artist. That is, of course, if you guys enjoyed this one and want me to make a part 2, let me know in the comments, because I will deliver. Just don't know when that will be. I definitely came from a very weird corner of the art community before it became whatever it is today. Honestly, I like the art community around 2016 to 2017, kids being cringe in fandoms. It was fun. I wish people and the internet can go back to being the way it was. It would make people like me who long for the past a lot happier, because I am very scared of what is going on today. During 2017 and 2018, when I got my first iPad, which is in 2018, I stumbled upon the animation meme community, mainly through animation meme compilations made by other people. I would watch animation meme compilations of Baldi's Basics, Undertale, Eddsworld, and as Just Shapes and Beats got popular in 2018, I watched those too. Which is how I ended up finding people like Sashley, Kidding Dog, Wolfie Chews animation memes, and from there I entered the art community without actually entering it myself. Those times were good. In August 2018 is when I got my first iPad, to be exact. And my first art program I used was Sketchbook, which is shown in this TikTok video with my longest lasting OC before I abandoned her from Bendy and the Ink Machine, Michaela. I did make a few self-shipped ink bendy art that is now lost to time and probably not even archived. Probably for a good thing that happened. I did still draw on paper though, just not as much as I did before, as now I had an iPad and it's easier to make artwork. I didn't use the Sketchbook app for long because after I stumbled upon my first digital artist idol, Alex Bluebird, I switched over to Mediabank Paint after seeing them use it. Not only that, but I watched their speed paints a lot, especially because I loved their art style at the time. At this point, I wasn't really into the four fandoms I listed before. Actually, no. Bendy and Ink Machine was still on my top list in 2018. But this was also the time where I entered a new fandom from a game that I've never seen someone make until that year. Just Shapes and Beats. This was also a time where I traced a lot, especially since as a starting out digital artist at the age of 12, I didn't know that tracing was often a big no-no in the art community because I only saw tracing as a form of learning and posting the traced work wouldn't be an issue. Because no one properly explained to me that tracing is okay if you're learning, but not okay to post and claim it as your own. Not even the people who were my friends at the time and older than me. So a lot of art was deleted after it was pointed out. But the tracing didn't stop there. Alex Bluebird's art on Just Shapes and Beats was what really got me hooked, since the game's characters were just shapes. Seeing someone create their own versions of the characters if they were humans, which means I could just let my imaginations go wild, is what got 12-year-old me to do the same. And in the process, I adapted their art style, especially the way they drew eyelashes on the female characters. And then boom, I created this bitch. I love the color purple since I was 12, not anymore. And she went through several names changing before I named her Vivi. Originally took the name from the character from this animated series. Around 2018 is when I started using DeviantArt and Discord for the first time, and DeviantArt was where I met my first online friends. And I did the same mistake of deleting artworks I didn't like and only kept the ones I thought I did good on, and they aren't even archived either. I just wanted to scream at my past self for being so stupid. Anyway, positive experiences didn't go so well when I entered the few Just Shapes and Beats Discord servers. In fact, my view of the fandom completely changed from what really went on in those servers, especially one of them that I was in. Before I continue, the things that I'm going to mention are a bit of a heavy topic, and please be mindful that these are the things I experienced as a preteen because the older people I was friends with weren't being mindful in the servers with minors around. This also includes adults being reckless as well. These experiences affected me greatly for years and are the main reason why I left the Just Shapes and Beats fandom to begin with. Now that that's out of the way, I'll continue. When I was 12 to 13 at this time, like I mentioned, I used Discord for the first time. This is my first mistake, using Discord at such a young age. Because the server I was in had adults who drew not safe for work for minors as a request, so minors get it for free. I got 3 pieces, if I can remember correctly, for free too, and all of those were not safe for work. Those adults knew how old I was and other minors because they had the introduction channel where you would put your username, age, likes and dislikes, etc. The adults were around 21 to 24, and the oldest of minors in there were 16 or 17. And in that server is where I met the person who... their words are on screen. There was a lot of guilt tripping from both the adults and other minors and myself because that's a behavior I learned from these people. A lot of drama, manipulation, and gaslighting was also in the server from both parties. And at one point, I was dragged into a group chat at 13 years old to apologize to the artist that I traced as a child. The people who dragged me into that group chat were 3 of the adults who were in their 20s, basically made a threat of some sort where if I don't apologize to the artist I traced as at 13, within a certain amount of time, their patience on me will run out and they will, unquote, deal with me themselves. which reasonably scared me so much that I wrote paragraphs to the artist I traced artwork from as an apology. After I left that server, cut contact with those people, and left the fandom at 14 to 15. But my groomer was still around me. He asked me for very specific inappropriate pics to send him, which even I told him I wasn't comfortable with it, and he pressured me into doing so. I was very uncomfortable with him. He manipulated me, he gaslit me, and for the most part, he guilt-tripped a ton until I couldn't take it anymore. It wasn't until I was 16 where I cut him off for good and exposed him for the creep he was. This has caused me to have so much anxiety for every little thing I do wrong. Where I mess up even a little bit, I fear I would receive the same harsh treatment and be seen as the worst person. Getting put into group chats during small disputes is where I get reminded when 13-year-old me was dragged into a private group chat where I had adults threaten me. After that, I wanted nothing to do with the Just Shapes and Beats fandom anymore. And I quit. By the time I was, I think, 14 to 15, I got into the Murder Drones fandom. After seeing the pilot episode, I was instantly in love. I already had an interest in robots since Help Wanted and Security Breach were released around the same time, which brought back my love for Five Nights at Freddy's. Serial designation N, of course, being my favorite. Through the Murder Drones community on Twitter is where I met my new and current friends. I featured one of them in my jar video. And somehow, the drama in the MD community on Twitter back in 2021 and 2022 that I was once again involved in, somehow worse. The people me and my friends had problems with didn't state their ages to not safe for work artists, so they would get not safe for work art from them without getting blocked. They stalked us by making alt accounts, harassed my friends. One of them even asked for nudes from a 12-year-old while they were 15 to 16, which is not pedophilic, but it is fucking weird. They guilt-tripped, gaslighted, you name it. By the time I was 16 turning 17, I left the Murder Drones fandom and abandoned the show altogether. I also ended up losing some friends I met through Murder Drones Twitter because they turned out to be pieces of shit too. One of them attempted to groom me by buying me Discord Nitro. Thankfully, that never worked because my friends saw it. They knew it was a grooming tactic. They called it out, and I was able to avoid getting groomed a second time. And the drama that I was in the Murder Drones fandom is also another reason why another fandom that I was in, I left. It got so bad to the point where I wanted nothing to do with it anymore. These experiences do have a positive outcome though. I matured through them. I am now able to recognize grooming or an attempt of grooming. I cut off shitty people quicker rather than keeping them around for years, and I don't tolerate people's bullshit for long periods of time. While I don't want to start drama with these people again and just keep it in the past, which is why I'm not naming them. I do not condone harassment or anyone trying to find these people. It's best if they are left alone. While I do agree that the adults I interacted with when I was 13 should have done much better with their interactions around minors in their servers, no excuse. But what happened, happened. And there's nothing much I nor anyone else can do there. At the same time, over the years, I also improved as an artist. I recognize that tracing to learn is good, just not claim it as your own. I accepted criticism, which I always hated as a kid. I express my emotions through art that will never be posted, rather than exploding or guilt-tripping in a Discord server that hurt me. I do plan on using my experiences to potentially help others, both as an artist and as someone who experienced getting groomed for a long time. During these times as a teen, I also ended up finding and following other creators who I would end up admiring, and they would play a big part in my evolution in art. I still admire those artists. So, by the time I was 16 turning 17, remembering all the garbage I went through in my early teen years, at some point I decided I needed to pick a new path to follow. Because some of the creators I was following at the time didn't really suit my tastes anymore, and some of them may have turned out to be awful people. I won't name those creators because I either forgot them or can't be bothered to look for them to remember who they were. I was 16, I left several fandoms because I either lost interest in them or the fandoms being what they are and turned toxic, as the usual. Such as Undertale, Baldi's Basics, Just Shapes and Beats, Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy and the Ink Machine, and probably a few others that I'm forgetting. But as of currently, I have joined some anime and video game fandoms that I have been pretty decent so far, and I am liking them a lot. I know the Genshin Impact fandom isn't as great as some people can be a bit insane sometimes for some small and really stupid mundane things, but I haven't experienced anything really bad so far. So I don't have anything negative to say from my own experience. But the current media I am interested in and joined the communities of are Black Butler, Windbreaker, Demon Slayer, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Jujutsu Kaisen, Apothecary Diaries, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, and Kokuran Kingdom. And maybe a few others that I couldn't remember the names of at the moment. They appeal more to my tastes, as I am very into the dark, edgy, almost horror and futuristic vibes. They have great storytelling too. On top of that, I have found other artists that I have been following since I was 16 too. Sam Does Arts, Naturix, Mark Burnett, Art of Chala, Aquile, Kerwir, and Corderink. Naderix by far is my biggest inspiration when it comes to mixing futuristic and horror, along with creating scary yet cool looking cybernetic characters. She's also the one who got me into the more dark futuristic and cyberpunk characters and world building, just like the one she drew for her OC redesign videos and speed paints. Looking at this frame in her latest OC redesign video, just seeing how she designed and created this world setting, it makes me want to go, damn, I want to make that too. I take her art and other art techniques from other artists I mentioned to improve my own skills. Watching her speed paint videos have been a great help to me. Watching the step-by-step process in a sped-up version lets me see how she does her shading, lighting, rendering, and just learning that way. That's literally how I started out as a digital artist when I was 11. I would slow down speed paint videos from Alex Bluebird and carefully look out how they shade, do the lighting, and rendering, while at the same time looking at different step-by-step guides from online and other artists on Pinterest. I have gotten better at rendering faces to give a more semi-realistic look, which can use some improvements, I know. I need to start practicing how to render skin on other body parts too, especially the male torso. I may have not been uploading every week like I used to, especially since I don't feel like I need to upload every week or every 2 weeks. I will upload when I feel like it, especially since I don't feel like drawing full art pieces to post often. So, what do? I study and practice behind the scenes. I currently have decided to practice drawing for 1 hour every day, or at least try to do it every day since I'm in school and it burns me out quickly. But Not uploading weekly has been good on my own mental health because back when I used to upload weekly, I would burn out myself pretty fast. And it felt like when Sunday was approaching, I had to get a Speedpaint video out. I think that was because I thought that if I didn't upload every week on Sunday, my channel would die. Even though it is pretty much dead after I left the Murder Drones fandom because of the drama. Aside from all that, this leads to where I am today. I am currently in the process of redesigning and designing my own characters and focusing on them because I want most of my content to be centered around them. I started creating them back in 2021 as I was inspired by Murder Drones, but even with the very first designs, they were cyborgs, a clear indication that I had a massive interest in robots and sci-fi. But over the years, I changed their arms and legs from the Murder Drones look and started creating my own designs of them so they would be more original. After I left the fandom, they changed altogether. Some OCs are gone, I made some new ones. I have begun designing and drawing the world that they would be in, which is Japan but in a cyberpunk era, and the year is 1100 years from now. And my mind has been going wild with all these ideas and things I can do with this. However, I don't plan on keeping this as a hobby thing, such as being an OC artist. I plan on making a manga out of this. The Japanese media, manga, and anime has continued to fascinate me. I love seeing what people can do when they create a character and write a story around them. My Japanese cyberpunk OCs were evolved because of the Japanese media I consume. I even gave my own future manga a title, Overclocked Demon Core. Overclocked Demon Core has been inspired by a variety of animes I watched. My main biggest inspiration for creating my own story was Demon Slayer. While I do enjoy the story and its characters and the concept, I also think that there are some things that can't be improved from my own point of view. My favorite cast of characters in Demon Slayer are the Upper Moons. My OCs are literally based off the Upper Moons, because the concept of having a demon hierarchy while the demons absolutely fucking hate each other was so funny to me that I had to incorporate that idea. I took the what if the Upper Moons were the main cast, but instead of being the villains, they were instead the good guys while still being demons, and having all these cool, wacky abilities of their own, just in a more cyberpunk setting. And boom! That's how I came up with my main cast of characters for Overclocked Demon Core. It's been a lot of fun doing my own thing, and I get to do it more when I'm out of school. Creating a manga and hopefully getting an anime adaptation if it gets popular. Creating a manga and having it animated by Mappa or UFO Table, how the fuck do you pronounce that? Is one of my biggest dreams. To see my characters come to life by one of the biggest anime companies in Japan. I love seeing what they are currently doing with Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc, and that's something I envision for my own anime. It's one of my dreams to see my characters come to life and have millions of people love them just as much as I do. The reason why I am not starting a manga right now is because I know my art skills could still use some improvement, especially since I can't draw buildings as good as I want to, and that's a big problem when you choose to do a cyberpunk world for your characters. And that I want to be able to draw it a bit more realistically. On top of that, school will burn me out quickly, especially since this is my last year of high school and the stakes are high for everyone to pass this grade. But don't think I will be stopping there, because I don't plan to. Okay, now that this is the end of the story, I just gotta say, wow. I didn't realize how much of a roller coaster this is going to be. And the fact that this is the longest script I have written for a video, not just the making of the video, but looking back at my own past and realizing just how much shit I went through, and looking back at how I got to where I am in the present day. This has certainly been one hell of a trip down memory lane. I hope you guys have stuck around until the very end of this video. I spent a month making this damn script, which is currently sitting at almost 9 pages at this point, and 4,384 words. I have to say, I'm quite proud of myself for how long I've come. And I've met some amazing people along the way who I still remain friends with to this day. And and they also helped me through those difficult moments I talked about. I hope you guys who are still watching this till the very end have enjoyed listening to me tell a tale of how this fucking demon right here became the person and the artist she is today. So, I'll see you next time. Thanks for sticking around.